All right, we are live. Make sure this mic check, making sure everything's working. Got this new studio going on in the DragCoverage studio right here back behind me. Still trying to figure things out, but super cool studio for the 2025 season. And I believe we're live. Hopefully no technical difficulties today. And check my mic here. I believe we are good. So welcome everybody to the DragCoverage show. This is the first show of the 2025 season. And what better way to kick it off than to talk about safety? And so I'm getting some thumbs up here. I see people are starting to tune in and chime in. But got a super good show for y'all today. Before we get started, I want to do a little bit of homework, but it's going to be a great year. 2024 was a great year for DragCoverage, the DragCoverage season, and looking even more excited about the 2025 season. We hit and broke some of the biggest records as opposed to readership, and I think I contributed all to you, the viewers who've been tuning in to DragCoverage since I started this thing back in college several years ago. So super excited to continue to grow. With that being said, excited to announce that finally getting some help. I've brought somebody in, an editor. We'll be announcing him pretty soon. So I think it's going to be a great addition. So super excited about that. But some more homework. I want to thank our sponsors today, Fuel Tech. If you don't have Fuel Tech, you need to check it out. The guys at Fuel Tech do a great job. We're installing it actually in one of our small tire cars here on the DragCoverage team. Great product. We'll talk a little bit more about it here later on this year. And I'm super excited to announce our latest partnership, which is Larice Motorsports. And so, interesting fact, I was a Larice Motorsports customer before this partnership. I've been a Larice Motorsports customer probably for 3 years. I think it started when I was in Birmingham, Alabama. We're getting these tornadoes coming through, and I'm thinking, what is going to happen if a tornado, there's tornadoes flying over me left and right. My race cars are sitting out there. What's absolutely going to happen if my race cars are destroyed and I have nothing to show for it? So at that point in time, I decided to tune in and get on board, get some Larice Motorsports insurance. And it's a big myth. The biggest thing I thought was I can't afford it. I can't afford insurance, motorsports insurance. After I received a quote, I was just amazed about how affordable insurance could be. And the great thing about insurance is you can pretty much determine your premium on what you want to insure. So if you want to insure $10,000, keep the price low, you can. You determine what the value of that product you want to insure. So I put a barcode here. If you see it, I'm pointing this way right here. And they're right. I think I'm pointing right. Right here, scan, get a quote. It costs you nothing to get a quote for motorsports insurance. If you're like me and you don't like filling out the form, then I would encourage you to call Larice. That's what I did. I called Larice and got my insurance code. So all of my cars are covered. My trailers are covered. Very affordable. One thing I did not realize they cover until I talked to Jason Rich. As y'all know, Jason Rich pretty much lost everything in a trailer fire. But they cover safety components, spare engines, spare parts. They pretty much cover everything. And a couple other things I want to mention about Larice is they have on-track coverage. You know, Shane Carr and his team, unfortunately, had to use on-track coverage for Larice. Contingency rewards program. They simplified claim process. If you want insurance today or tomorrow, as soon as you call, they can get you some insurance, which is pretty cool. And a couple other things, and I'll move on about Larice that a lot of people don't know, is in the pits. They cover in the stage lanes. Somebody bump you in the stage lanes in the pits, pit area, race fuel. If your car's on a lift, going down the highway. I've even got my motorhome insured through Larice. And the reason why, you can determine the value you want. So hit up Larice, scan quote here. Thank you, Larice Motorsports, for what you do for drag racing. You're going to help take this site to the next level. I want to educate people on insurance. So hopefully we can get Holden, Bailey, that Larice Motorsports team on the DragCoverage show. But that's my spiel about Larice Motorsports Park. Want to encourage you guys to at least get a quote. It didn't cost you anything. And before we were even partners, I've had Larice Motorsports prior to that. So I can truly say that. All right, so into tonight's show. Thank you, Brad Jones, and everybody for tuning in. Thank you for the comments and the messages. As you saw, this is a late notice a little bit. We actually put this out yesterday about what we're going to talk about today. And today we're going to talk about junior dragster safety. And I can't talk about junior dragster safety without at least asking everyone to say a prayer for the Diaz family, the Orlando Speed World Dragway, everybody, the family, friends, and the entire drag racing community. Just please keep everybody in your prayers as this difficult time for not only that family, but the entire drag racing community. It just reminded me last year, it really reminded me of how connected and how big of a family the drag racing community is and how strong that community is being there for one another. And so with that being said, I got a lot of texts, got a lot of calls about junior dragster safety and how I can keep my kids informed and, the safest they can possibly be. So I thought, what better way to talk about junior dragster safety than to bring some racers in that field that I have a lot of respect for. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And of course, it's their opinions and things that they do and they've seen to help junior dragster racers, keep junior dragster racers safe. And so we really want to just pass along as we go through this entire drag coverage show. Please drop your questions in the comments. We are live. So with that being said, if you have any questions, I'll ask them throughout the show. But I brought Mike Combs on with Mike Bos Racing, Tyler Kahili. He's going to talk a little bit about it. And we're going to move from safety to announcing some super exciting things, junior dragster events and junior dragster series that are coming to the Southeast that I think you'll like. So stay tuned to that. So I believe I did all my homework. Let me double check and make sure. I feel so professional. I think it was yesterday, I had a small webcam at the kitchen counter. I feel so professional. I've been working on this, by the way. Got the blue light, the bookshelf in the back, the seat, the professional light. I'm feeling professional, but I'm not by any means. But without due respect, first I want to bring on, I don't see him. Let me double check to make sure Mike is coming on the show. Mike Combs is talking first. Let me see. I don't see Mike on the show yet. So where are you, Mike? He says he's on the camera. Don't see. All right, we're back. Not sure what's Mike. But without due respect, Mike, let me give it just a few minutes. Enter the studio. Without due respect, while Mike gets his computer set up, we've got a little technical difficulties. I think Mike, you might have to sign in on your phone. Until Mike gets on, I'm going to bring to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring Tyler Kahili. Tyler is a big, he and his dad build engines, big junior dragster advocates as far as building engines for the sport that's upcoming. He'll talk a little bit about what TJ Tyndall about the series that's coming up about junior safety. So with that being said, until we're able to get Mike on, I'm going to welcome to the stage Tyler Kahili.
Hey, man. Thanks for having us.
Hey, Tyler, can you see me?
I can see you. Can you see me?
Yes, sir. I can see you. Tyler, welcome to the show, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I gave everybody instructions on how to get this, and Mike doesn't seem to find it. So until Mike gets it figured out, I appreciate you coming on the show, Tyler. I really appreciate it. So, Tyler, please introduce yourself to everyone and kind of what you do in the drag racing industry before we get started.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Tyler Kahili. Kahili Performance is our business. We build engines from big car engines to junior dragster engines. I handle all the junior dragster side. My dad and another employee handle all the big car engines. We race as well. I started out in junior dragsters when I was 8 years old. I'm 37 now, so raced them from basically the beginning of junior dragsters when first ones come out, and they were wide and had big front tires and pretty ugly. And started out in that, evolved through the years, and we raced big cars since I was 18 years old. We still race today. We run NHRA Top Sportsman and Superstock.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Tyler. Appreciate that introduction. I've seen you a lot around. You run NHRA, right? You run NHRA as well, right? You got a couple classes that you run.
Yeah, yes. Top Sportsman with a 632 Nitrous Cavalier, and then old Pro Stock car. And then we built our S10 run Superstock modified. So it's pretty neat. We have a lot of fun with those two.
Well, John Dawkins says, great junior engine builder. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know y'all built engines until TJ Tyndall told me. Well, Mike did. Mike is here. So, Tyler, I'm going to bring Mike on the stage as well.
All good.
Mike, it's really not that hard, okay?
Man. Hey, technology ain't my thing, TJ. I don't know what happened there, bud. It was kind of weird. I was like looking at it and it just didn't want to go on. So here we are. The way the day goes. Hey, Tyler, how are you?
Good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Well, Mike, thanks again for agreeing to come on the show. We'll bring TJ Tyndall off later. But Mike, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mike to the stage. Mike, please introduce yourself and what you do.
So my name is Mike Combs. I work at Mike Bos Chassis Craft. Kind of like man, I'm anything from the office manager to purchasing to wiring cars, putting cars together, building race cars. But sometimes I feel like I'm more and more of a office manager than I am anything because I spend more time on the phone. But so that's kind of what I do.
Well, that's awesome, Mike. I really appreciate it. And next time I need to make sure I don't have Larice halfway covering your face, but we can see you. But at least you're sponsored by Larice Motorsport. At least we're sponsored by Larice Motorsports. So Mike and Tim Brakefield said, Tyler, you're the best junior engine guy out there. Man, the comments just keep coming in. Did you pay these guys to tune in? And
I slipped them some dinner. Had them DoorDash.
I understand that only because you like to talk. That was towards Mike. Right. All right, so let's get this started. So, Mike, I really want to make sure we take this very serious because, of course, I want to be respectful of everyone in the junior industry. And before we get started, I do want to let people know these are, of course, opinions of what I think is professionals. I know you've been in the Mike Bos business for a while. Tyler building not only engines, but starting in the junior world. But these are primarily tips and things we want to do to keep junior dragster racers as safe as possible. So I really wanted to take this time. I ask you all to come on this show to talk about it. So with that being said, we'll get started, and please chime in, Tyler, as you need to. But so Mike, as a junior dragster builder in the Mike Bos industry, and I got a lot of respect for Mike Bos and Mike Bos dragsters, junior dragsters. Y'all been around for a long time. What are some of the calls as it relates to safety are you primarily receiving and getting on a more regularly than any as it relates to safety?
So as far as like calls to safety, TJ, I mean, especially the guys coming into the sport, that they're always wanting to know what we need or what they got to have and give them the basics and kind of get them going on the path. As far as safety equipment, helmet, gloves, neck collar, arm restraints, or not neck collar, but head and neck restraint, either a head sock or a skirt around the helmet, shoes, pants, just typical safety equipment. The one thing that we really like to try to stress in safety, and especially with newcomers coming into the sports, is fitment in a car. If you're looking to buy a car, there's plenty of great used cars out on the market. You don't have to build a brand new car from us or anyone else. You just want to buy a car that the kid fits properly in. We're looking for good fitment in a car. We don't want to put a small kid in a 23-inch cage car, if you will. So I try to tell people, just let's look at car fitment. That safety begins with fitment and comfort, really. Kid can't comfortable, no one's going to be driving well.
Okay, awesome. Now, as far as you said, I think you and I have talked about it in the past, Mike. There are some instances where people have to send cars back to Mike Bos to get repaired. And what type of does that ever happen, or are there any instances where there's any on-track incidents, or what are some frequent things you may see in the junior dragster world from your point of view?
So incidents that we would have would be, there's really two types of incidents, and it's from newer beginner drivers to the older kids. In the middle seems to be pretty clean, if you will. And that comes from the newer beginners turning off the racetrack. We really need to focus on making the turns and getting off the track without turning the car over. The older kids, you got to kind of watch them because they're Blake. They're out there trying to carry 2 tenths and get rid of it in the last 60 feet. And sometimes that don't work well. But the big thing is, like with the newcomers, last year I helped a guy. He brought his daughter up and we went through a little thing and I helped her get her license. So you want to take a new driver, and I like to work with experienced drivers when I have a new driver, because I can take my experienced driver and put them in one lane and an inexperienced driver in the other, and say, look, let the experienced driver go. You slow down, mimic them, follow them. So if a car is going to turn off, let the experienced driver turn off first and show a kid how it should be done. So realistically, in helping, it takes really a village to train a kid to drive a junior dragster. Most people are used to riding go-karts or four-wheelers or dirt bikes, and they start riding this stuff at a really, really young age and put them in a junior dragster where the cars aren't as forgiving as that four-wheeler or that go-kart you can do donuts with in your yard. That junior dragster, you got to slow down and take the time, make that stop and turn. And I think that's what we really need to focus on. And with the inexperienced drivers is let the experienced drivers help the inexperienced, if you will. Yeah. You be the example, go through first at the finish line, let them see what you do. And if they're on single runs, make sure until they get a little time under their belt to make a stop and then make a turn. It's real easy to get excited as a kid too, because this is fun, right? They've had a blast. And it's not your go-kart and it's not your four-wheeler.
Absolutely. And Tyler, I guess with your junior dragster experience and your driving, were there things that you had to do when you were younger on, or your kids, or is there, you kind of want to chime into that?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. When my dad got me one for Christmas, I believe it was, when I was 7-ish. First thing we did is we went to an empty parking lot at a tech school, and he made me follow him around. Literally at idle. He's like, don't touch the throttle. And I'm not sure if he unhooked the throttle or not, but he said, don't touch the throttle, just let it idle. And you go everywhere I go. And then when we actually went to the racetrack, he did basically what Mike explained. He rode on a four-wheeler that we had at the time in front of me. And he said, stay behind me and do everything that I do and go at the same speed that I go. And he rode at maybe 20 mile an hour down the racetrack. And we did that for a little bit. And then he got to where he would go in the other lane and I would go down beside him. And obviously it was very slow. I mean, my first junior went around 14 or 15 seconds, which is still pretty fast for a 8-year-old kid. And, but it's the same thing. We went through the finish line and he told me to come to a stop and wait till he caught me and turned off the racetrack. And then followed him off, and then went to the ET shack and stopped and got out. That's
awesome.
How I learned.
Absolutely. Thank you. Those are all both great points when it comes to turning off. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have kids that's in the junior dragster ranks, but those are things I literally don't think about. And hopefully these parents that are listening, tuning in, are going to come back on our YouTube channel, the DragCoverage YouTube channel, and listen, and hopefully somebody can take something from this. So very good points. I do want to move to, and I'm skipping around. I know we've kind of talked about kind of some things I want to talk about. I do want to skip around a little bit and talk about some of the safety precautions before we head to the engine wise. I know there's some tips on the engine side, but head padding. What about the padding? And as far as head padding, I mean, Mike, I know you've got a great relationship with Butler Performance when it comes to head padding and the junior dragster side. Mike, you got any recommendations for junior dragster parents when it comes to head padding? And
Yeah. So again, we do have a great relationship with Butler Built. Butler does all the 45.2 roll bar padding that goes in our cars as an upgrade. So the standard roll bar padding is a 45.1 SFI rating, head roll bar padding, if you will, and it goes in the cars. And then there's the upgrade of the 45.2, which actually came from the seat. And it's got to do with the padding that they put in, and even like an NASCAR, seats, and building that whole continuous seat is a 45.2 rating to them. So that carried over into the head pads. We do a top, which is a one piece that goes across the top and down the back, and then the two laterals. And those are 45.2, which is legal head padding. It's really great stuff. I think everybody ought to spend a little extra money and put into it. It's really funny, though, when you talk about that, because that padding has been tested. And believe it or not, they do what they call a low speed and a high speed test in padding testing. And they consider low speed testing. NASCAR did this on the head padding at 7 miles per hour. That's low speed test. Their high speed test is anywhere from 10 to 13 miles per hour. Anything above 10 miles per hour is actually considered a high speed test, believe it or not. So that padding is really, really good, but we need to also talk about not just the padding being great and it being there, but padding distance. How much room? So we could do a whole class probably on head padding. I do recommend that any time somebody builds a car, and most people nowadays do go ahead and upgrade to the 45.2 padding. It's built up on the sides to protect their head. It's cut down at the front, and it runs all the way out the helmet bar to the car to prevent, their head being able to hit the cage in anywhere in that area.
Absolutely. And those are good points to mention, because I didn't realize there was two types of 45.1. So you're saying you prefer the 45.2 when it comes to the space.
I do.
Yeah.
Correct.
So you're okay. Great. So that takes care of the padding in the 45.2. Where, and Tyler, do you run the 45.2 in your cars, or the 45.1, or?
I run the 45.1. My Top Sportsman car does not have the head pads in it. It just has the standard roll bar padding that's required. Same thing in my super stock car. Now I do wear head and neck restraints, and obviously the newer helmets, obviously, and all the everything else. I've never had the extra head pads. Maybe I should.
Yeah, it's got me thinking too.
I mean, it's got me thinking I'm running 200 mile an hour. So
yeah, I mean, in my Chevy too, I did have the 45.2 in my Chevy too. But listen, man, I'm guilty as anybody. Blake's car doesn't have 45.2 head padding in it yet. My car doesn't have it. Not that either of us is. Well, we're going fast enough, right? I mean, I think Blake's been 449 or 448 and here lately, and I'm really looking to upgrade to put that padding in there just because it's available and it's there. And guys, it doesn't cost that much extra to do it. Yeah, I think when we build a car, the 45.2 upgrade over basic roll bar padding, if you will, is $395 upgrade.
Yeah, that's good to know, though. I want to definitely look into that myself.
And it lasts, right? So it lasts long. It looks better. It even looks better.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't impede a driver's vision because it's cut down beyond where your head could go. So even sitting in a dragster, it's big back here, and then it turns down and runs across the bar. So you can look over it, but yet it still protects your head. So we've come a long way in dragster padding, and I think that's somewhere we really need to improve and possibly look at doing more in more cars.
So keep that in mind, junior parents and racers, even those that are not junior, the 45.2 padding, Butler Performance, great relationship with Mike. And I know I've talked to a couple of the Butler Performance dealers. Greg Kimball, I believe he's one, but that's great thing. So as far as I know, fire suit, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, is it single layer, what they're required in the juniors, single layer fire pants, fire jacket, the shoes, the fire shoes. You mentioned neck restraints. They have to wear neck restraints in junior dragsters.
Correct.
Yeah. As you said, you run the Hans. Is that correct? Right, Mike?
I do run a Hans. I'm not sure what Tyler wears. Blake and I both have worn Hans. listen, man, I'm kind of clumsy and I'm not that smart. So I get them, that hybrid trying to get that thing on. I look lost trying to put that thing on.
Yeah. Chad Kennedy also, by the way, says 45.2 is the way to go. So a lot of people agreeing with you. Some people agreeing with you on the 45.2. And so, Tyler, what do you use on the juniors? What do you recommend?
I've always used the hybrid, the Simpson hybrid, and I've had really good luck with it. I guess that's what I started with. I didn't start with a Hans, so I have no experience with a Hans, and I like how the hybrid fits me personally. And I still have really good mobility. I can turn and look both directions, even in my top sportsman car, which is rather hard to see out of. You can still turn and look out the windows and a little bit behind you. So I've had good luck with it, but I think as long as you have one on, you're better than not having one on.
Great. And one thing I want to mention, and two, I agree with you. It's great to have those type of things on. So I kind of want to move to, we've talked a little bit about safety, and I want to cover this briefly before I move away from the safety wear. I was understanding junior dragsters can't wear a DOT helmet. It's got to be Snell approved, right, for junior dragsters. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So I'm encourage y'all, and if you to not just grab a helmet. So it's got to be, what's the approval limit on that?
So the Snell SA 2025, I'm not sure. Do you know, Tyler, if it's out? I think it is out now. We're into February. It is out now.
The 15 is still good for 2 more years.
2 more years.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. So that's good. So make sure you said the 15 model, is that, would they be SA
2015. Yeah.
Correct.
So it's good for 2 more years. And then the SA, the 2025 version, you saying it recently came out or should be coming out.
And
right.
I really, talking about that for just a minute, TJ, not to get off, so, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of funny because to me and Fred Bickford from Butler, Butler Built and I had a discussion on a helmet today, as a matter of fact, about what, the SA 2015, 2020, 2025, and they actually give you 2 more years than what it should, I think, because you get 12 years out of a helmet. It looks like it gives you 10, and every 5 they come out with a new SA 2020 rating, a new Snell rating, if you will. So I guess where I'm going with this is we replace seatbelts every 2 years, but we wear a helmet for 10.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
And it's not so much as like Fred was explaining to me, and he is so super smart with SFI and he's got all this stuff together, is talking about how much the padding is.
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm trying to get my camera going.
I got you. I'm fighting a dog right now, by the way.
Yeah.
He's wanting to play. So, but the helmet is, your padding starts to go, just because that SA helmet is in date. We need to really look at the padding. As the padding starts to deteriorate, guys, it might be time for a new helmet. So I know, like Blake and I try to get me a new helmet every 4 years because I'm fat and I sweat and it stinks inside, right? And Todd Barton does me a real good job of painting me some helmets. And we've kind of got a good collection downstairs between me and Blake. But one thing in helmets to look for is not only that date, but watch the padding inside. As the padding starts to wear, the padding has just as much to do about head safety as the shell itself.
That's a very good point.
If that padding starts to wear, it's time for a helmet.
Those are some very good points you bring there. So y'all keep that in mind. Mike, I agree with you. Seatbelts are supposed to be replaced every 2 years, and helmets, every 10 to 12?
10 to 12.
Well, what gets the most beating? When Tyler's losing top sportsman, get his butt whooped, he throws it over the helmet over the side of the car. I mean, it gets to be the most the roughest beating. So keep that in mind. So I want to run into, we've talked about pretty much safety. I'm glad you mentioned about the seatbelts. I think we've covered everything from driver restraints, and I want to move to one more thing when it comes to safety, which I think is one of them. Hey, yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. I do want to mention one more thing about seatbelt safety, just before we move on, because I do believe it's important. Anchor point. Let's touch on anchor point of seatbelts just for 1 minute. Anchor point on the shoulder harness of the seatbelt should be 90 degrees lateral. So your mount should come off of your back, straight back, and the seatbelt should mount at 90 degrees with a 3-degree down or up. But some of these guys and you look and the seatbelt's mounted halfway down the back, and then it comes up and around, and that's not a proper mount for a seatbelt. Just to keep that in mind.
Thank you for adding that, because I'm going to be honest with you. I did not know that myself. So that's a very good point you bring there. So thank you for adding that, Mike. And anything else you can think of as we go on this. I think those points are great. And I appreciate those that are tuning in and really trying to learn something out of this. So thank you for that. And but where I was going with that is I want to mention, we've talked about seatbelts, we've talked about harnesses and stuff. I want to talk about one of the most important things, I think, when it comes to junior dragster safety. And when I was talking to Tyler and I was talking to Mike, I didn't realize it was a big issue, which is throttle cable. And before I move on, Amy Farrell says, check your kids' belt tightness. They are not going any good if they're loose. Amen. Thank you, Amy. Very good point. I see a lot of, drivers. I used to be bad about it, hanging out the roll cage, seatbelts loose, and the same with junior dragster drivers. So agreed. Very good point there, Amy. But where I was going with that is, I'm getting sidetracked right now, is carburetors and throttle linkage. And I had no idea. Tyler, you want to talk a little bit about some of the issues, safety issues as it relates to carburetors and how junior parents and junior drivers can fix that as it relates to safety?
Yeah, I mean, basically, it goes back to checking the car over. And we've got to make sure that we secure the cables, because if the cable moves, the outer shroud can hang on something, whatever, and hold the throttle open. So if we're not doing our job by making sure everything is secured, we're putting our kids in danger that way as well. Return springs on the pedals. There's a return spring on the linkage of the carburetor, but sometimes that's not enough. Sorry, my phone moved. We need to have return springs on the pedals. Make sure our cables are not frayed. If a cable is frayed and it goes up inside the shroud, then that can hang our throttle wide open. Make sure your carburetor is mounted properly. Back in the day, we did not have carburetor mounts like we do now. Usually now, every carburetor has an aftermarket piece that bolts to the top of it, whether it be a 33 millimeter carburetor or 42, 45, whatever. What happened is those things started as a deal where carburetors would come off going down the racetrack. Well, it started off as, well, we just broke a $500 or $600 carburetor, whatever it was. And it turned into, it's more of a safety item now, because one time I saw the carburetor get kicked, the engine backfired going down the track. I don't know if it blew up, doesn't matter. The carburetor gets kicked out, falls off, hits the track, fuel's going everywhere, catches the race car on fire while the kid's still in it. Wow. So, obviously that they got it out, the kid was fine, all great. But those tops are there for a reason. They're not just to save your carburetor, but if you put them on correctly, things are not going to happen. Make sure all that stuff's tight. It's just checking over everything that you do will definitely help.
And Mike, you've even alluded before, I think Tyler said before too, on the slower cars, that carburetor might not even pop up. It may just start some type of air suction and raise the engine up all of a sudden.
Yeah. So what can tend to happen, it's happened to me, and I've done it at Blake. You take the carburetor off the car, and the carburetor does have a mount, which is a tether holder. They've got better over the years. They're more solid now. And even though you push that carburetor up into that gasket, that boot, and then you bolt that thing up, it still can pull it, especially if you over tighten it. And maybe that ain't correct, and it can let the carburetor vibrate out the bottom side. So what we've done in the past, we went racing, and I took the carburetor off, took the clamp off, and that's a little bitty clamp for one. I kind of learned a lesson. I took it off, put it all back on. We go down south. We were at Atmore, I believe, early in the year with Blake a couple of years ago. And first lick out of the trailer, this thing just won't cut off on him. Like he's got brake, you know, and fortunately he was able to get it. It did die out, you know, because he shut the car off. He did what he needed to do, even though it didn't want to kill. You know how that is. It's leaned out, right? So I get down there and, you know, if you pull the carburetor off your car, put one of those new clamps on it. And I think Tyler could probably agree. Those clamps they're not like a clamp that you're going to go to AutoZone or O'Reilly and get. They're just really, really thin clamps. So they're not wide at all.
Those are
so anyway, you gotta hang. I'm sorry guys. I think my dog just drug one of Blake's boots off. I'm trying to text him real quick, tell him Champ's got his boot.
These are good points. And that's one thing I want to mention too. So make sure you got the proper clamps and everything as it relates to tying that carburetor down, because those are things you're not thinking about. And when it relates to throttle linkage, Tyler, you said something about Computech. They might have came out with some pieces, and I think it may be free to every junior dragster driver out there or junior dragster racer. Tell us a little bit about the throttle piece and the cable mount. I know I don't know much about junior dragster parts, but tell us a little bit about that, Tyler, and how they can get it as to securing that throttle cable and how it can help these racers.
Yeah, I just saw it on Facebook. Basically, Computech has come out with a clevis or a clamp that holds the outer shroud to the carburetor, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I have zero experience with it, so I can't really say 100%. But just from the drawings that I saw, it looks like it would help, because there are times where that shroud will move if you don't have it secured to the carburetor. It'll move and it'll actually hang the throttle partially open. And even to an experienced racer, it's going to startle them, but to a inexperienced racer, it could scare them to death when they want the thing to stop and it's not stopping.
Yeah, very good point. And Chad Kennedy said he ordered one. So great idea. And
those things, by the way, TJ, are free.
They're free.
They are free. I did speak to Matt Parlett from Computech, and I had a conversation yesterday. I was like, man, I really like these, because just like Tyler said, if that sheathing comes up out and it gets over top of that ferrule, it can hang the carburetor a little bit. And everybody in the industry, it's been, well, let's shove it down in there, throw some black tape on it, and it'll be fine. But it does happen quite frequently for that to come up and move over.
Absolutely.
And it will hang the throttle at a little bit. So this thing goes over the ferrule and then the cable, and it crimps, and then you just zip tie it. So it can't move. That cable can't come up out of there to prevent that from happening. It was a really cool idea, really cool design, but even cooler than that, the guys at Computech said, hey, the drag racing community has been so good to us, and the people have supported us so well. We're going to make this product free. That's how strongly we feel about the safety of this. Is those guys at Computech said, hey, guys, it's free of charge. Anybody that needs one, call us. They do have a backup on them. I think Matt told me yesterday, the day it came out, he got 500 orders.
Oh, wow. And Matt Woodall says they even offer free shipping as well on that. So kudos thank you, Computech, when it comes to safety, for offering this to junior dragster safety.
Absolutely. And on top of that, they are working on a video, which is going to be awesome to the industry. I don't know how much is out, but they're working on some video stuff and training processes for new beginners. And Matt's spending a lot of money to try to help the community out. I know that's what he and I talked about yesterday. So it's kind of cool. I told him, I said, hey man, he's taken a few donations here and there on building those, because they put a lot of time into their money into that product. Michael
Haygood said it happened to his son last April. So I'm sure it's happened to a lot of junior parents out there. And so just identifying a problem and fixing it is great. So that's awesome. And I know we're running out of time. Tony Roberts says, go to the Computech on Facebook and you can order it for free. I ordered one today. It clamps on the adjuster mount and the cable together where they make, and the female together, or the male and female together. I'm assuming that's male, but thank you, Tony, for that. That's a good point. Thank you. So go to Computech. Y'all, please order this piece. It's free of charge. Great job, Computech. Anything we can do, Computech, to help you advertise No charge for you on drag coverage, just for giving back to the junior dragster racers. So outstanding. I'll be reaching out to Computech myself. And I know we're running out of time because I really want to get TJ on here, but Anthony Evans brought up something in the chat that I really want to cover. And I know we're running out of time, so let's cover it. I don't want to say we're covering it quickly because it's not important. Anthony Evans says your kids should also know where their emergency kill switch is before ever making their first hit, even at idle, and they should know where it is blindfolded. Great point, Anthony. I talked to Tyler earlier today. Tyler, you even said, and I want to hear from you too, Mike, and let's make this brief because I want to move to the next part of our show. But Tyler, you said you even had one on the steering wheel for your kid.
Yeah. So, I mean, I actually have a car sitting right here. So it's not too big of a deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Please show us.
If you can see.
Yeah.
There's a momentary switch on the steering wheel. I feel like every car should have one. That way, I don't have to take the hands off the steering wheel to cut it off. And then I agree with what the gentleman just said. You know, if you can make sure your kid knows where everything is. In the NHRA, the rules are pretty strict, and it's in the license procedure that you're supposed to do a blindfold test. You have to get out of the car blindfolded.
Wow, didn't know that.
With all your equipment still on. And when we built the Top Sportsman car, my dad made me do it just to know where to how to get out of it. He cut off. I didn't do it blindfolded, but he cut every light in the shop off. Made me get completely suited up, and made me figure out where the fire bottles were, cut the nitrous off, and get out of the car without hopefully tearing it up. But you know, and it's a lot harder than you think. Yeah. And another thing that everyone should look at, we did this a long time ago. Most people just like to slide a wire onto the coil with the little female connector. If you would solder that wire on there, because a lot of times the things vibrate so much, it'll break that wire, and then they can't cut it off with a normal switch. And then that scares them. So then they're panicking, looking for the emergency, whatever. If you'll solder that on there, and then we used to put silicone over the top of it to make sure that it didn't come off, and then secure that wire somewhere where it's not just dangling down by the fuel tank or down by the flywheel where it could get cut. Little things like that help.
Thank you. Very, very good points. And thank you, Anthony, for bringing that up. Such a great point that we need to remember. And I'm challenging everybody tuning in, everybody watching this later on that's not able to. I am challenging you today. This is, I don't know, I'm going to make up a name. Get out the car dark, blindfolded. It's a challenge for everybody. You just got me thinking. I challenge every racer, every junior dragster racer to try that challenge of learning to get out of the car blindfolded or in the dark, because it's very important if something happens. So thank you, Tyler, for bringing that up. All right. Well, anything else? And John Oliver said, that's part of the problem, Tyler. They don't do the orientation or even tech. I made the tech guy look at my grandson's car when he started. And I also agree with that. I think we need to, and I'm not pointing fingers or anything, but I think first it starts at home when it comes to tech. We shouldn't hold them accountable, but I agree. We should do a better job with tech at different facilities or whatever it may be. So very good point, John. Anything else y'all can think we possibly missing before we go to the next part of the show?
Try to avoid saying it's good enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Long time ago, we had a race. My dad and a friend of ours put a race on here locally at Brainerd Motorsports Park. This has been back when I was 10 or 12 years old. And it was just a small race. We had probably 75 cars show up. And our friend that was helping my dad, he made every car go through tech. One thing that he checked was the brakes. And he reached down and pushed the brakes on the car, and he had to pump the pedal like 4 or 5 times before he actually felt anything.
Oh, wow.
And the dad said, well, if you pump the brakes, it's got brakes. And the guy said, it's not going down the racetrack if you've got to pump the brakes to get them.
Right.
So, yeah, it probably would have stopped eventually, but there's no point in it. I mean, at the end of the day, as parents, and I don't have a kid racing yet, but as parents, it's our job to make sure they're safe because we're putting them in these things.
Absolutely.
So maintenance, I mean, going over every nut and bolt, making sure you got lock nuts where they need to be, not just a regular nut, and then just checking over everything because they're race cars and things fall off, things break, and they vibrate.
And a junior dragster vibrates worse than anything.
Yeah.
The harmonics in them is terrible. So we do use, all nylock bolts on everything we do for locking.
Yeah. And Tony Roberts says the NHRA states that all juniors require manual cable shut off to the spark plugs and electrical toggle switch to the coil. Awesome. Thank you, Tony. All right, we'll move on. Thank you both for really talking about safety. I know we went over time, but you can never spend enough time on safety. So thank you, junior parents. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat before the drag cover show ends, or send us an email. Go to dragcoverage.com, contact us, or dragcoverage@gmail.com, and we'll make sure we get it to Mike or Tyler. And Tyler, feel free to hang on with us. The next part of our show, feel free to drop off. Really appreciate you tuning in. But we're going to move to the next part of the show. We got some very exciting things to announce when it comes to junior dragster. We talk about junior dragster safety, and along with that, we've got two guys that are working hard to bring junior dragster racing, take junior dragster racing to the next level. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce y'all to the stage. I call him my brother. I spent time in NHRA racing with his dad, Tim Tyndall. TJ, he ran Outlaw 330. A lot of respect for this guy here. Please welcome to the stage the founder. I don't know if it's a founder or what, Southeast Junior Racing, TJ Tyndall. TJ, welcome you to the stage. Hey, TJ.
How are y'all?
We're doing good. How about you?
Good.
Well, TJ, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. We've got a lot of different things exciting to announce. I fortunately have been very fortunate to be a part of seeing you junior dragster race. I basically since you're a child, see you run the Outlaw 330 race. So TJ, one day you woke up with the idea and you said, I want my kids and other kids to have the same opportunity I have when it comes to junior dragster racing, and once you started your series. So TJ, when you talk a little bit about what the name of the series is and what classes and what people can look forward to this year, I want you to announce. Tell people what you have excited to announce.
Yeah, we kind of wanted to bring back what the Woods has started in the Southeast. It really hasn't been around since Dave did away with it.
Mm-hmm.
And the Midwest has the Outlaw 330, but there's nothing in the South. There's not a junior series in the South.
So
one morning, I just woke up and decided, let's start a series.
And that had to have been tough because a lot of those Outlaw 330 cars, by the way, if y'all have never seen an Outlaw 330 car, it's pretty cool. Those things are fast. But it had to have been challenging starting this Outlaw 330 series that has been, been down for a long time. Is that correct?
Yeah, it has.
And so I guess y'all got some cars that are coming. How many Outlaw 330 cars do you have committed going into the 2025 season?
We got about 7 so far committed for Gulfport, but it's going to have growing pains. It's a very expensive class with and a lot of work, and not a lot of people's wanting to do that.
Mike, have y'all gotten some orders on Outlaw 330 cars yet, or
no?
Is this going to be kind of a slow thing that kind of?
So TJ's right. The Outlaw 330 thing, man, I'm going back a long time, probably when TJ was in a junior, right? Because, but it used to be a really, really big deal. Like show up at ECF, and everybody couldn't wait for Monday to see the Outlaw 330 race, and there would be 30 Outlaw cars show up, to race in a 16-car field. Since then, it is expensive, and we don't see as many orders on Outlaw cars. I'd love to do one. They're fun because they're different, right? You get to do everything a little bit different in them. They're kind of like building a comp car, if you will. Going from a bracket car, all our other cars are made set up, and let's get the kid up, let's get them where they can see. Where a true Outlaw 330 car, we're going to tuck this thing down low, get it narrow. it's a really cool class, ceramic bearings. Let's see how fast we can get this thing to go and how free we can get it.
And TJ, so with this Outlaw 330, I understand you got some bracket classes going along with it, right?
Yeah, we have quick 32 index, quickest 32 car field on a bracket tree to the 330.
Mm-hmm.
We got all of our age groups, 6 to 9, 10 to 12, 12 and up. And then Sunday is our 10K to win.
Wow, 10,000 to win in the junior class. That's got to be incredible. I wish I was racing in the junior Dragster class. I might have to sneak in, maybe hide my arm sleeves or something to get in this class. And TJ, before we move on, tell everybody about the schedule, kind of how many races per year, how to find out more about the series and the payouts and the dates. I know next week they start at Gulfport Dragway. Super excited. Galen Rollison, that group, super excited to have it. Galen's got one of the most, I would say, hype when it comes to junior dragster racing, the Christmas race. But Galen's super excited to have y'all. So how many races per year? And I know you're going to Brainerd. What stops are you making?
We're going to start out with 5 this year, see how it goes. And we may add 1 to 2 races next year.
Mm-hmm.
But our first race will be at Gulfport, and then March and Montgomery.
Okay.
And then we will go to Gleason, Tennessee, Brainerd for July 4th. And then we will have our final race back at Montgomery in October.
And how can they find more information about this, TJ? Where can they go? Is it
SoutheastJuniorSeries.com?
So SoutheastJuniorSeries.com. They also got a Facebook page. Gary Rowe, longtime friend of mine, built that website. It looks phenomenal. So I'm excited. I'm hoping to come out there, TJ, to watch, cover. I'm a big fan of you, the Tyndalls, the family. So I want to be a part of this deal. Anything you want to leave with everybody else before we move on, TJ, about the series and kind of close it out about the Southeast Junior Series? What would you encourage racers, or kind of what close us out?
Yeah, just come out, have fun, and go home Sunday afternoon.
That's always good. By the way, we got casinos, beaches. I live in Gulfport. I'm right here now. Everything you can possibly think about it. So y'all wait. Tanya Pruitt says, TJ, we cannot wait. And Matt Woodall says pre-entry is open for it. So TJ, looks like you got some people on board that's ready for it. So thank you, TJ, for tuning in today. I want to make sure if I'm not missing anything, but SoutheastJuniorSeries.com or SEJS. They also got a Facebook page. Great information there. So thank you, TJ, for joining us today. Excited about those dates you have. And I want to get with you and do some more coverage on that Outlaw 330 because I really think it's a cool class. So
it's going to have growing pains just because it hasn't been in the South for a long time. So it's going to take a little bit to get out.
Right.
But I have 3 Outlaw cars in-house that will be running all year.
Mm-hmm.
And
awesome.
We got 2 that the Pruitts, they'll be running too.
Great.
And then we got 2 or 3 that's coming in.
I think it'll get some traction once you get some cars actually going. So, well, at least you got a pretty decent first car count. So I think it's going to grow, Mike. I really do. I think people are either going to jump on board. I feel like some of these kids are going to be like, man, that's cool. Put me in an Outlaw 330 car. And their parents are going to be like, crap.
I know. I've talked to quite a few people, and there's some people from up north looking to travel to go to Gulfport in February.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how much of the 330 they're looking to do, but they're really looking forward to this series. I know TJ's worked really hard on it. Hopefully more guys get into this 330 thing and it catches some steam. But I've heard several people talking about wanting to go down there, and I hope he brings out the that beautiful car he just picked up down there, because he has one of the baddest junior dragsters on the planet for sure.
I saw.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put that one in a museum and build.
Oh man, I love that car.
I think that car is under bubble wrap or something. I don't even know how you get it out.
Not in a more deserving kid. Be honest with you, it's like my my nephew. So Trent's like my nephew. So not a more deserving kid. Well, thank you, TJ. Really appreciate you tuning in today. Matt Woodall, Brandon says you need to check your seatbelts, your old seatbelts in your junior. I'm a little worried about that. So Brandon, they're going at it in the chat right now.
Oh yeah, they're slinging it.
I'm not surprised. All right, so we got the SEJS. I'm super excited about that. TJ Tyndall's. We'll get more information out about that. Tune in their website, but make plans for Gulfport next week. Outlaw 330 and a big bracket race. You heard TJ. That's going to be big. And got one more big announcement that I want Mike to introduce. And I know TJ's put a lot of work into his series. I don't want to let y'all know this stuff's not easy. Contacting people and trying to get stuff for these juniors. TJ's done a ton of work. He's called me, called several people. Mike's got something big to announce. And so, Mike, the floor is yours. This is probably one of the first most people have heard this.
Probably. So we have teamed up with Brainerd Motorsports Park, and Amy Farrow and myself have decided to continue on with the Halloween Spooktacular that Ben Willis started back a few years ago. We did run it last year and had a few cars and had some bumps in the road for my first time ever promoting it. So I just was kind of in awe in what I wanted to do, and I sat back on it, and then Amy and I got to talking, and I thought, that was a really good thing that Ben started back years ago. I really don't want it to go away, and I don't want to I want to have I want everybody to have a great time. So we got after it hard, and man, have people not stepped up to help us. I am so excited to announce that we will have this Halloween Spooktacular October 10th, 11th, and 12th at Brainerd Motorsports Park. Sponsors, thank you. It is crazy.
You've got some overwhelming number of sponsors.
Oh, man.
Some big sponsors.
I'm going to pull a list out.
Actually announce what you got there, because there's some big things going on here.
I have some big names, and I'll just do this briefly. I don't want to take up too much of everybody's time, but this race here, Peter Biondo is I consider a friend of mine, and Peter and I talk briefly, here and there, back and forth. And Peter, I've learned from watching him do events. And I thought, nobody does an event like Peter Biondo. Peter Biondo puts on an experience, not a race. And I thought, wow, what could we do here? So we're going to try to have the experience. This year's Halloween Spooktacular, we've got $250 in big checks going to 6 to 9-year-old costume, 10 to 12 costume, 13 and up costume. I got a $250 going for the long haul award. We've got what is going to be probably one of the funnest awards that we give away all weekend during our $10,000 race on Saturday, which I should back up and say it's a 3-10-3 format with a 32-car high roller on Friday, a parents race Friday, then I'll get to the other part on Saturday, but we're going to have a bum award, a backup mom, best dressed backup moms, $250 in a trailer check.
Make sure some of those moms know there's kids out there. Okay.
Yeah, there are kids.
There should be some rules, by the way.
We've got a Bud award for the dad, the backup dad, $250 in a check for those guys. Pit decorations. It's going to begin on Thursday night with parking. We're going to have a pizza party, which is free, thanks to my sponsors, High Tech Coating and RMI, who makes a lot of the parts for our juniors. They're paying for a pizza party. We've got a $500 to win practice tree race free to all the kids that show up that day. $500 to win, $250 to runner up. Then we get to the cool stuff. The races are cool, round prizes. Friday night, the parents race is just off the hook. It's guaranteed $1,000 to win. Greg Regal said, hey, that ain't enough. Let me kick in a hood scoop to a parent. Let me give you a hood scoop to give to a parent for the parents race. And then Biondo just really knocks it out of the park and says, hey, I got something. let's have a parents race and let's throw something in there for the parent. He's given us a free complete entry to any fling of your choice. Take the $1 million out of it. But you can go to the 30s in Vegas. You can go to Norwalk. You can go to Bristol. You can go to Galot. He's given us a free entry. And then Jared Pennington, great friend of mine. Jared's like, I called Jared, tell him what I'm doing. And he's like, we could do something here. So we teamed up for a kid who will be 18 years of age or older on January 1st next year. There's an MVP award for that kid, and they are going to get a completely free BTE World Foot Brake Challenge entry. So they're going to be an older MVP, but on top of that, Todd Barton said, hey, we're doing a shootout. Let me paint the car. So I'm like, well, I don't know. And we come up and we got a Simpson Bandit helmet that we're going to give away as an MVP award to the kid that goes the most rounds that weekend is going to get a helmet. It could be the same kid that wins the BTE World Foot Brake Challenge, but it could be a different kid. Just because the foot brake challenge is only available to a kid who won't be able to drive a junior next year. But the kid that goes the most rounds is going to win a custom painted Todd Barton MVP helmet for the weekend. Right. All prizes guaranteed. And I just couldn't, Motor Mania is involved. I had a Ed Jones out of Oregon puts in solar panels, and Jimmy Williams from Trailer Ranch stepped up and said, hey man, let's get Motor Mania there. Awesome. So we have Motor Mania, and it's just a weekend full of round prizes, and it's unreal. Kevin Rodden at K&R, Luke Bogacki gave us 5 scholarships to give away to This Is Bracket Racing Junior. Drag Champ says, hey, I'll give you 5 pro membership awards, and the list of products and prizes just continue to come in. So we're able to put together a goodie bag for the kids when they come up and they get their things. There's going to be cups with all the sponsors on the cup and the Halloween logo and keychains. It is so, I am so excited. I can't wait for October. I hate for the year to go by, but I think that, between the great people who have helped us out along the way, and it is a long list of sponsors. I should hopefully have the flyer out in probably 2 weeks. We're still finishing up some logo stuff with Todd. Yeah. I do have the car, which is Saturday night. We're going to have a 128 car shootout for a complete turnkey 790 Junior painted inside and out. I don't know that it's going to be TJ Tyndall paint, but it's going to be really, really nice piece.
If you want me to show the car?
Please do. Yes.
Okay, let's see if I can do this.
Hey, you did well.
There it is. Man, I'm good about this. So here we go. You can see it.
So that is a quick rendering. We are going to be doing some cool stuff on the car as well. Some sponsors. Regal kicked in some things. MPC, Brad at MPC's kicked in parts and people throwing things at this car to put it together. We're going to have a really set of trick PRP, Philadelphia Race Products, wheels on the back with a 5-spoke hub, and chrome back half, polished wheels, paint inside and out. Just, I don't know. And it's a 128 car single entry format, $200 entry fee. Somebody's leaving with a $25,000 junior.
Wow. That's just impressive. And this, I can tell you what, this paint scheme is beautiful. The orange, the purple. Ooh. Is there any way I can go back to the junior dragster ranks?
Hey, come on back, TJ. Run the parents race on Friday night at Brainerd.
I can't make up my mind. You got Outlaw 330 coming back, which is super cool. You got this deal going on. It's going to be, Mike, I'm telling you, between TJ series, your race, not just your race. I think Montgomery has a race. Brainerd has there's going to be some great, incredible junior dragster racing this year. And I'm telling you what, it's the future of our sport. So thank you. This is incredible, Mike.
And I think TJ and I's race is kind of back to back. So it's going to make it easy on people just to leave Montgomery and come on up and drop your stuff off at Brainerd.
Yeah, that explains it. So TJ, if I'm not mistaken, kind of what's the plan? Your race is first, TJ, and then Mike's?
Yes.
Yeah. So they're like a week or two apart.
1 week. Yeah.
One week apart. So we'll go to Montgomery. So it'll be kind of like a junior tour. Go to TJ's race in Montgomery, then go to the Halloween race in Brainerd. So
yeah, and I'd like, there's a few races, and TJ and I've talked briefly, but I'd like to give, I want to throw some gift certificates that way for his bracket program and help him out right there. So we'll get together on that.
Great. Incredible. A lot of people in the chat that says Big J Johnson is going to win the backup contest. I don't know Big J Johnson.
Oh, if Big J Johnson wins, this could get up. Listen, you better bring your cameras because you may get to see something you've never seen before. Or maybe you don't want to see.
One more comment before I close out, Mike. It says, for any new folks out there to the Junior Racing Series, Mike Combs and Bos Racing and Tyler Kahili are awesome for this sport. They are very involved and can help you with everything. This is what we need to continue this sport for our kids. And I'll leave that in closing. I've kind of got to agree with that. When I asked you to come do this deal, Mike, TJ, y'all were not hesitant at all. So I really appreciate you coming on. I know we went over time, but I don't think there's a substitute when it comes to talking about safety. And so appreciate you guys coming on. TJ talking about your series. Mike, if there's anything DragCoverage can do, please keep us in mind. We're getting more staff this year. So hopefully we can help in any way. Is there anything else you want to add, TJ or Mike, about the junior race? Or
I really just want to thank you, TJ, for having me on, and let's talk about this safety. I really appreciate the plug for the race. The main topic of this was safety, and that's where we really want to focus on. And if anybody's got any kind of questions or comments, or listen, my cell phone is wide open. TJ knows this. Any customer that comes to me, I make sure they have my cell phone. Call me at night. Call me. Text me. If there's any questions that we can do from you at Mike Bos, that's what I'm there for, man. I don't get much else done. I feel kind of like a grunt, like I said, coming on to the show. I don't really have a title much as an everything thing, if you will. And I spend a whole lot of time on the phone, and that's what I enjoy. I want to help people out. You don't have to feel like you're a customer of ours to ring my phone or call the shop and ask for questions and any help that you may need.
Great.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard Mike's voicemail.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, no, TJ probably hadn't much, but probably because it's full at the moment. And I do try to get back to people. If I don't answer, I'll even sometimes shoot them a text. Hey, on the other line, let me call you right back. And not that I'm perfect and I forgot to call people back, but I do try really hard. I mean, I spend a lot of late nights. I was on the phone to 12:30 the other night with a guy from Australia.
Oh, wow.
So, hey, man, I want to be as available to anybody as I can be especially when it comes to safety. And don't feel like that you've had to have bought something from me before, or that you feel like you need to buy something from me. I just want to make sure that we do everything, not that I'm perfect or know it all, but we can all come together as a community and help each other out.
Great. And I'm glad and we still got a lot of people on the live feed. So thank y'all for tuning in. But one more thing, TJ, with this new series going on, if people have any questions, is your phone number on the website as well, your email or something? Is that the best way to get in touch with you?
My cell phone number's on there, email.
Okay, great.
Text, call.
Awesome. Well, this was probably one of the most incredible shows that we've probably ever have. And I really hope people took something from this. I'm starting seeing some comments, some thumbs up, praises in the chat. So I hope if one person took something from this, Mike, TJ, we've done our job. And so really appreciate y'all taking the time when it comes to junior safety and talking about your series. Want to wish you both good luck this year. And thank you for coming on the DragCoverage show. Well, with that being said, y'all have a good night. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. I can't believe y'all waited to the end because I'm kind of long with it. And y'all have a great night. Thank y'all for tuning in to the DragCoverage show. All right, Mike, TJ, y'all have a great night.
Thank you, TJ. Good night.